I've been a loner most of my life. I was born into a traditional West African family, and it was normal to have siblings, brothers and sisters who would make your life a living hell, yet who would protect you, support you, and always have your back no matter what. But instead, my mum had me and decided that was it. There was no dark reason behind her decision not to have any more children. She did vaguely describe to me the pain of childbirth. It was so terrible, she couldn't handle anymore. She loved me, so did my father, and the rest of the family, and that was it. I learned from very young to be alone, especially with no one else my age around. I did have cousins. They were all boys, they were very loud, and they were very leery, and I didn't want them around. I learned to entertain myself and create my own little world of fantasy and wonder. The trouble was, it became a habit. The more time I spent alone, the more I yearned for my own company. Any outside intrusions, such as noise, another person, even a partner, became a bit of an irritation. It would be easy to refer to me as antisocial or unfriendly, but that wasn't the case. I was just very careful who I let in. Some people were filled with such chaos. You could see the wheels coming off from miles away. Because my life has always been quiet, I can't live it any other way. For some reason, people view my isolation as some form of snobbery. I've had people say in the past, "You think you're too good for everyone else." But I've never felt that way. I just like the silence. The friends I have in my life are pretty stable people. If we have disagreements, no matter how far apart on the spectrum we are, we can agree to disagree without yelling or any of the strange ways a lot of modern society has learned to deal with the disagreements. And that's what I love about the people around me. The issue is friends like that don't come around very often, so I'm careful to treasure the ones I do have. The trouble is, society has also conditioned us to always seek acceptance, always chase the opinions of others, always look for something of ourselves in others. And I believe that's why there's so many of us who are afraid to be alone. If only we could view the adventure of self-discovery we'd be on if we just gave ourselves enough of a chance. Instead, we constantly pursue the company of others who might not be good for us. Singleness doesn't have to mean isolation. I am single, but I am not lonely. I'm not isolated. I'm not some emotionally bruised hermit who is tired of the world and seeks time away from society. Not at all. I'm currently travelling because I love culture. I love languages, and new locations give me inspiration for my work. Of course, I can always find inspiration at home, but that's just a bit boring. I love different cultures and seeing how we communicate with each other. I was taught very early on that if you learn to love yourself and you prioritize your peace, that's the day you start to really live. I fully lived and hope I continue to thrive and do so. To finish off, I see the world in a very romantic fashion still. I see human beings as essentially good. I'm not jaded, I don't feel let down, I'm not angry, and I welcome everyone I meet with open arms and an open mind. I haven't been hurt like others have. I haven't faced crushing disappointment. However, not experiencing these things doesn't mean I'm unaware of them. I am very aware that they exist, I just haven't experienced them. I've always been very careful with who I've dated. Now, don't get me wrong, I have made mistakes in my life. Who hasn't? But they've been short, they've been quick, and I've quickly realised the person wasn't for me, and I've emerged with hardly any emotional damage. You don't have to tell me twice. What I see these days looking outward is people who are afraid to be alone, who will settle for just about anyone, and I wonder why. Being alone can be absolutely wonderful. You discover so much about yourself. Of course, things can always go wrong when alone, but that's what good friends are for. But why do we not ask ourselves what could happen if things were to go right on our lonely voyage of self-discovery? Where does this fear of loneliness come from? Now, don't misunderstand me. I am aware that it's very easy, especially for someone like me, whose income comes mainly from writing, to slip into that slightly unhinged right isolation. And that's why I make an effort to go out and socialise. I'm not going to be single forever. I'd just rather meet the right person than risk the emotional trauma that comes from being with the wrong person. Being alone needs to be something that is celebrated a lot more, as I believe there would be fewer unhappy people in our world.